Journalism. Zaina Erhaim, Syria. A Syrian journalist returned to her home of Aleppo in 2013 to report on the dire state of human rights in the war-torn country. What started as pro-democracy protests escalated into civil war, which, with the rise of Islamic State, is now a global conflict. More than 250,000 people have been killed over 5 years of war, and countless aid workers, human rights defenders, and journalists are held arbitrarily by the Syrian regime. Erhaim has trained over 100 citizen reporters inside Syria, who have established blogs, newspapers, and magazines. A third of them are female, many published in major international news outlets. In 2015, Erhaim made a documentary, Syria's Rebellious Women. It tells the stories of a diverse group of Syrians who face restrictions on their movements, dress, and behaviour. But they continue to document the war, deliver civilian supplies, and provide medical assistance nonetheless.
Zaina, I love, a female journalist and documentary maker working in Syria. But not only is she reporting from there, she's also training hundreds of other journalists to do the same. And that, for me, is an immensely brave and courageous thing to be doing.
Madame Asra, Egypt. Although their 2014 constitution guarantees freedom of expression, self-censorship is widely practiced in Egypt, effectively stifling out dissenting opinions. Madame Asra was founded in 2013. Mada, which roughly means to take a position in Arabic, arose when Egypt Independent, a critically minded newspaper, was shut down. A group of those who had been fired joined together to found Madame Asra, an online news cooperative, fiercely independent, creatively funded, and dedicated to reporting on Egypt's politically tumultuous environment. They've since covered President Mohamed Morsi's military overthrow, the crackdown on the Muslim Brotherhood, and the surge of terrorist violence. Their bold journalism has seen 12 Madame Asra journalists imprisoned, but with 300,000 page views a month, Madame Asra is a fast-growing influence on Egypt's new generation.
I loved Madame Asra from Egypt because they're doing true journalism, just going to the streets, getting the story right. And I think that's amazingly courageous in Egypt, where there's so many journalists in prison.
Hamid Mir, Pakistan. Hamid Mir is an experienced Pakistani broadcaster who has hosted a popular nightly talk show on GeoTV for the past 13 years. His fearless work on Pakistan's security services, corruption, and anti-democratic political power struggles have made him the subject of numerous threats, vicious beatings, and several assassination attempts. In 2014, Mir was shot 6 times en route to his studio. Refusing to be intimidated, Mir returned to work as soon as he left hospital. Living under constant armed guard and separated from his family, who have been sent abroad for their safety, Mir continues to report on controversial Pakistani topics, constantly switching between homes and cell phones just to keep himself alive.
I find Hamid Mir is very inspiring because of Pakistan is one of the most dangerous countries for journalists and for the struggle he has taken to combat fundamentalism and extremism and also talk about corruption. So that challenge not everybody will be willing to take.
Pravit Rajanaphrukh, Thailand. This Thai journalist rose to prominence in 2015. For his personal campaign against Thailand's suffocating laws on speech and free expression. In 2014, the Royal Thai Armed Forces seized control of the government and suspended the constitution. Army generals implemented a punitive system of martial law, suspended TV broadcasting, and banned political gatherings. Pravit was determined to fight the military junta and their enforced censorship, writing widely and tweeting, "Freedom can't be maintained if we are not willing to defend it." The junta announced that it was necessary for Pravit to undergo what they call attitude adjustment. He was arrested, detained, and subjected to interrogation, solitary confinement, and a travel ban. He was also forced out of his editorial position at Nation newspaper. Undeterred, he used his experiences to draw increased attention to the lack of democracy in Thailand, continuing to speak out with courage and great humour.
He's a journalist who has stayed true to his calling. Thailand gets very little press in the UK, and yet it's a hugely stifling place for journalists to operate in, and he's doing exemplary work in reporting that very difficult country.
Ferit Tunç, Turkey. A Kurdish journalist and local newspaper editor from Turkey's Batman province, Tunç has taken several bold steps to stand up to creeping authoritarianism and the loss of press freedom in his country. As founding editor of newspaper Yon Gazetesi, Tunç responded to attempted censorship of their investigations with a novel approach. He started publishing satirical food recipes on their front pages, recipes for unusual dishes like governor kebab and deputy's finger, containing revealing facts. They drew widespread attention to figures who had been keen to avoid the spotlight. In recent years, Turkey's independent journalists have been subject to unprecedented interference. The Turkish government has brought 40 lawsuits against Tunç's newspaper alone. Stepping up his battle, Tunç used 2015 to run as a candidate in local elections. His van emblazoned with the slogan, "Stop Corruption."
He really deserves to be on this list because he's extremely innovative, he's courageous, he's set up his own newspaper. He's also kept going. So when he was being censored, when there were difficulties, when there were lawsuits, he wouldn't be cowed. That had a huge impact.